Welcome, Minister. Thank you for being with us today on a slightly later than expected schedule. Appreciate you making the time. As we just heard from Ben there on the introduction, water is top of mind, I think, always for regional communities. And you've come into this portfolio a bit over a year ago now and pretty well got stuck straight in. So that's what I'm going to do today. We've heard just a few weeks ago from the Murray-Darling Basin Authority that the goal of June 2024, getting that 750 gigalitres as promised in the plan, it's not going to happen. So I guess what does that mean for the plan and the future of the basin?
Yeah, thanks very much for the question. And hello to all of you. It's very lovely to be here in Tamworth again. In a sense, people say, was this really a surprise? I mean, we've had more than half a dozen reports from the Murray-Darling Basin Authority saying that the plan was off track. We had a Productivity Commission inquiry that said that it was off track. And so, on the one hand, it wasn't a complete surprise that it would be difficult to get to where we're supposed to be by the middle of next year, June 2024. But I suppose, live in hope that with the renewed focus on the plan, we were working more cooperatively with the New South Wales Government. They were getting their water resource plans in. I thought there might be a way of achieving it. There just isn't. By June 2024, on the current trajectory we're on, we would be about 750 gigalitres short of where we're supposed to be. And for people who don't think in gigalitres, that's about 300,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools short of where we're supposed to be in June 2024. Now, what does that mean? In practice, there's a lot of things that are triggered by December 2023, if we're going to be short. We have to formally agree to extend the plan. Otherwise, a lot of the sort of automatic things that have been put into the Murray-Darling Basin Plan come into effect, and we don't really want some of those reconciliations to come into effect automatically. We think, as a government, the more sensible thing to do is to work with the states and territories still to achieve the objectives of the plan, but to do it over a more reasonable time period. And the truth is, more than 80% of the water that's been recovered towards the plan has been done under Labor governments. In fact, 84% of water that's been recovered towards the plan has been done under Labor governments. Only 16% has happened during the last decade of the coalition government. So, we're slow because there's been a decade of inaction.
And you mentioned that, there's a series of things that get triggered if we aren't meeting that deadline. One actually is the Commonwealth has more power to look at an option like buybacks, which is obviously very controversial within the community. What's your position on further buybacks to try and meet that target even at a later date?
Well, my position is we need to look at all viable options, and we just released yesterday another paper that we had a 5-week consultation where we asked communities across the Murray-Darling Basin for their ideas on the ground, where they live, where they work, about the best ways to deliver the plan. And we've had lots of fantastic solutions that go to things like water efficiencies, water infrastructure. In fact, I was hoping to go and have a look at the Dungowan pipeline after this, and that's a great example of an efficiency project that reduces water waste. That water then doesn't have to be taken out of the river system. It can be used more productively because we're reducing leakage from 70-year-old pipes. There's projects like that across the system. There are better and more efficient ways to use water, but I don't think it will be possible to achieve the Murray-Darling Basin Plan without some voluntary water purchase. And we've got a 44 gigalitre voluntary water purchase program at the moment that's open at the moment. We've had people put in submissions for water that they're interested in selling. We're evaluating those at the moment. And I think there will be more of that in order to achieve the objectives of the plan. But we're not ideological about this. I have said from day one that yes, I'm determined to achieve the objectives of the plan, but to do it in the most sensible, most consultative way that we possibly can.
I want to come back to the pipeline and Dungowan in a moment, but just on this issue of the basin, we've heard over the years the water wars between states, within states at different ends of the river system. We're have an opportunity, would you say now, that there is water in the dams? We aren't necessarily in the position we were a few years ago where the years of drought had made this issue even more emotive perhaps than it is ordinarily. Is this an opportunity before we get to this next drought to hash out whatever the new plan is going to look like?
Well, one of the first bits of advice I was given when I became the Water Minister is whiskies for drinking, waters for fighting over. And I don't think, we've had a couple of good years, but you can talk to communities in New South Wales already, the dry times, you can feel them coming back. And we know that all of the scientific evidence tells us we're going into a hotter, drier period. We need to prepare for that hotter, drier period. I don't think there's any uncontroversial time to say we need to achieve all of the objectives of the Murray-Darling Basin Plan, and part of that will include voluntary water purchase. I know that there'll be people who don't like me saying that. I think it's the only responsible thing I can do is be honest about the fact that I don't see how we can achieve the objectives of the plan without that.